Before we get started inserting the logic into the schedule, it's important to understand the types of relationships. Now we're going to focus on the three main types at this point. The first and most common is the finish to start relationship. This is the default setting in Microsoft Project. So if you were to just insert a relationship without designating it as a finish to start, or a finish to finish, it would default to a finish to start. And essentially that means that when one task finishes, the next one may begin. And you'll see it here in the Gantt chart. This task finishes, the next can begin. The next type of relationship, and probably the second most common utilized, is a start to start. When one activity starts, so can another. For instance, when rough framing begins, you can start overhead MEP at the same time. Or when you finish paint, you can start doors, frames, and hardware and millwork at the same time. So that's a start-to-start relationship. And the other is a finish-to-finish, which I don't personally utilize very much, but it is a tool that can be used. And essentially means that two tasks finish on the same date. So whatever the longer task is, that will drive the finish date of the shorter task. And that is important if you want to ensure that they finish on the same time, but you want to start the second task as late as possible. So ensuring that they finish at the same date, the finish to finish relationship will give you the start date of the shorter period. So there are some other tools that we can utilize amongst these relationships, and that's adding leads or lag. So if you want a relationship, we'll focus on a finish to start. For instance, if you were going to lay flooring over a brand new poured concrete slab, it may need a few days to cure. So in that case, if you don't have a line item for a curing period, you may want to start flooring 2 to 3 days after the concrete is poured. So in that case, it would be a finish to start relationship plus 2 days. And that means 2 days after activity A finishes, activity B can begin. Where you'll find it more common is in the start to start relationship. So you may want an activity like framing to begin, or overhead MEP rather, to begin prior to framing, but you don't want to wait until all the overhead MEP is complete before you start your rough framing. So you can insert a start to start relationship between the rough framing and overhead MEP, and then give a lag or lead, which gives the overhead MEP a period of time to start the work prior to beginning the rough framing. And I'll show you some examples of that. So here are a couple examples of some lags or lead inserted into a project. So you'll see here's a relationship right here. That's a finish to start relationship less 4 days. And what it means is when activity 18 finishes, that is storefront glazing submittal, 4 days before that finishes, we want to begin the exterior demo so we can start beginning the installation in and around for the glazing. Another one, a typical relationship that you'll see more often, is a start to start, and you'll see it right here. So 5 days after activity 44 has begun, 5 days after activity 44, you can start your in-wall MEP rough-in. You'll see activity 44 is wall framing. So 5 days after we start framing, we can now begin our in-wall MEP rough-in.